The story begins by introducing Sarah Wolf, a former soldier from Germany who served in the war in Afghanistan. She was the only one from her group who survived the brutal conflict. Since returning home, Sarah has been deeply affected by post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, which causes her to panic suddenly and relive disturbing memories. One day, Sarah is at a park playing with her young son, Josh. While they enjoy the day, a helicopter flies overhead. This triggers intense fear in Sarah, as the sound brings back vivid and painful memories from the war. While she's distressed, a boy accidentally bumps into her. Overwhelmed and unable to control her emotions, Sarah pushes him away. The boy becomes angry, and in her panic, Sarah lashes out and hits him hard. After a moment, she regains control and sincerely apologizes to the boy for her reaction. Later, Sarah is heading somewhere when she receives a message from a journalist. He sends her a video and asks if she recognizes anyone featured in it. The video contains information related to what happened to her during her time in Afghanistan. The journalist understands that Sarah does not want to revisit the past, but he stresses the importance of the information. Sarah begins watching the video, but suddenly notices that her son Josh is not nearby. Alarmed, she quickly scans the area, finds him, and firmly holds his hand, silently telling him to stay close to her. Sarah takes Josh to the American Consulate office. She plans to apply for visas for both of them so they can move to the United States for a new job opportunity. Upon entering the building, Sarah places her belongings in a locker and proceeds to the front desk to receive a token for waiting in line. The officer at the desk asks Josh how he is doing, but Josh remains silent. Sarah quietly explains to him how to answer when someone asks such questions. They wait for a long time, and Josh becomes tired and restless. A receptionist informs Sarah about a nearby playroom where Josh can play safely. Sarah takes him there and steps out briefly to get coffee. When Sarah returns to the playroom, she finds that Josh is gone. She calls out for him and searches nearby, hoping he is hiding or playing a game. But after searching for several minutes without success, she becomes frantic with worry. Two security guards arrive and ask Sarah what has happened. She tells them that her son is missing and demands to speak with his supervisor immediately. Shortly afterward, the regional security officer, Eric Kings, arrives with Sergeant Donamon. Eric asks Sarah to explain the situation and collects detailed information about Josh. He proceeds to check every closed and locked room inside the consulate, but Josh cannot be found anywhere. Eric tries to reassure Sarah, telling her that the consulate is highly secure and nobody can enter or leave unnoticed. He promises that Josh will be found soon. Sarah suggests that Josh may have somehow left the building, but Eric insists there is only one exit door. If Josh had left, the consulate staff would already know. Sarah points toward a specific door and says she saw a boy handing a bag to a woman who exited through that door. She insists that the door be opened for inspection. Eric refuses, explaining that the area behind the door is high security and entry is strictly prohibited. Sergeant Donamon whispers something to Eric, who then asks Sarah if they can speak privately. Inside an office, Eric examines Sarah's papers and praises her military skills from her time in Afghanistan. But when Sarah continues to press about her son, Eric shocks her by saying that records show she came to the consulate alone. There is no record of Josh arriving with her. Sarah is stunned. Sergeant Donamon shows Sarah a list of people who have checked into the consulate, but Josh's name is missing. Sarah insists this must be a mistake and tells them that the man at the desk clearly saw Josh. She reminds them that other staff members saw him as well. But Donamon denies this and says Sarah entered the building by herself that morning. Sarah demands to see the CCTV footage. Donamon says he already reviewed it, and it shows Sarah entering alone, with no child by her side. Desperate, Sarah calls the German police to ask for help. However, the police inform her that the consulate is American territory, and therefore German law enforcement cannot enter. This causes a heated argument between Sarah and Eric. Eric tells Sarah that the German police will arrive at the consulate gate soon to pick her up and advises her to stay calm and cooperate with the consulate staff. Then Eric and Donovan lock Sarah in a room and leave her alone. Feeling isolated, Sarah calls her mother and explains the situation, hoping for emotional support and help. But her mother doubts Sarah's story, asks if she has taken her medication, and suggests Sarah might be confused or forgetting things due to her illness. Feeling hurt and frustrated, Sarah ends the call. Sarah realizes she cannot rely on anyone and decides to take matters into her own hands. She searches the room and finds a small pin. Using this, she manages to unlock the door and leaves, carrying some files to make it appear as if she is on official business. She goes back to the playroom and finds one of Josh's toys left behind, which strengthens her determination. Sarah moves toward the door where she had seen the woman exit earlier. The door is locked, so she climbs out a nearby window, scales the consulate's wall, reaches the rooftop, and jumps onto the roof of an adjacent building. She breaks a window to enter and begins searching the rooms inside for any sign of her son. She carefully reads the emergency exit plan and checks locked rooms one by one. Outside one door, she sees some belongings. She opens the door, which is unlocked, and enters. A young girl inside immediately attacks Sarah. Sarah quickly covers the girl's mouth and calms her down. Sarah asks the girl if she has seen a little boy with curly hair. The girl says she has not. Sarah explains that her son is missing. The girl introduces herself as Irina and explains she has been trapped inside the consulate for 2 months. Irina offers to help Sarah find Josh if Sarah agrees to help her escape. Sarah agrees to the plan. They leave the room, but soon realize that they need an access card to exit the building. Sarah surprises a guard from behind, takes his access card, and hides him so he cannot call for help. She breaks some security cameras to avoid being spotted. Together, they continue searching the building and eventually reach a warehouse area. Inside, Sarah finds a list documenting all trucks that enter and leave the consulate. She notices that one truck has not yet left, meaning Josh is probably still inside the building. While searching the warehouse, Sarah finds a cupboard with a logo matching the bag she saw the boy hand to the woman earlier. She opens the cupboard and discovers the same bag filled with drugs. She concludes that the owner of this bag is connected to Josh's kidnapping. Back in Irina's room, Sarah tells her she cannot help her escape yet because causing chaos would make it even more difficult to find Josh. Irina becomes furious and accuses Sarah of imagining everything. She says maybe Josh was never there at all. Sarah shows her Josh's toy as proof of his presence. Suddenly, 2 men burst into the room and attack Irina, attempting to kidnap her. Sarah fights back fiercely, injuring the men badly. Irina believes they came to kill her, but Sarah explains the attackers wanted to kidnap her since they have not killed her already. Eric, the general consulate, and Sergeant Donovan arrive at that moment. Eric quickly injects Sarah with a sedative, and she loses consciousness. While unconscious, Sarah experiences vivid flashbacks of her husband and the happy moments they shared before the war. When she awakens, Eric and the general consulate officials stand nearby. Sarah once again asks about Josh. They coldly inform her that her son never came to the consulate and show her the CCTV footage as proof. Sarah is stunned as she watches the security footage. Her son Josh never appears in the video. It only shows her arriving at the consulate alone. The officials tell Sarah they understand she's been under a lot of pressure and that her mind might be playing tricks on her because of the stress she's endured since the war. They suggest she could be imagining things. After saying this, they leave Sarah alone. Anxiety fills her heart just as Irina arrives. Irina quickly unties Sarah's hands and reassures her that she is all right, insisting that something strange and dangerous is definitely happening at the consulate. Sarah, still doubtful, insists she might just be imagining the whole situation. Irina reveals she used a fake name when they first met because Sarah did not trust her. Her real name is Kira Volkova. Kira explains that the consulate staff have made the kidnappers disappear, and no one there wants to listen to Sarah's concerns. Though Sarah still doubts this, Kira tries to prove her existence by hurting her own hand slightly. She then shares her story. She is the daughter of a powerful politician who was involved in laundering huge amounts of money. When their political party lost power, enemies had her father killed. Kira has a USB drive containing important evidence against those enemies. They want her dead, and she needs to escape the consulate to meet the opposition. Her mother has already arrived at the consulate, but is being held there against her while under false pretenses. Without wasting any time, Sarah and Kira decide to search for Josh together. They move through crowds and reach a conference room. Hiding behind a desk, Kira posts a message on the official website of the Consulate office, referring to the drug-filled bag they found, asking the owner to contact them. While in the conference room, Sarah shares her past with Kira. She says that during the war in Afghanistan, her husband was with her, but everyone else in their team died, leaving only her alive. Sarah is German, and her husband was American. She currently lives with her mother, but is planning to move to America soon because she has received a good job offer from a large security company. This job will provide a better life for Josh, and she hopes Josh will get to meet his father's family there. Suddenly, an anonymous message arrives from the owner of the drug bag. The person asks to meet them in the cafeteria, believing that such a public place would be safe and unsuspected. Sarah and Kira sneak past the security guards by using the roof of the consulate building to reach the cafeteria. Kira sits a little away from Sarah. Soon, Sarah notices Eric entering with his daughter and talking to her. To avoid being noticed, Sarah lowers her head. Just then, Eric gets a call from Sergeant Don about a problem with the security cameras and quickly leaves the cafeteria. His daughter accidentally leaves behind a small recorder as they leave. The owner of the drug bag soon arrives to meet Sarah. She asks him directly about Josh, but he only demands the bag in exchange for information on Josh's whereabouts. Sarah quickly realizes he does not really know where Josh is. She bargains with him, saying she will only give him the bag if he gives her a building map and an access card. The man agrees and tells them to meet in the washroom after 20 minutes. When they meet, he hands Sarah an access card that works for only 1 hour because he has sabotaged the security system, which will take that long to repair. This gives Sarah and Kira a limited time to search and escape if needed. Sarah hands over the bag and prepares to continue her search for Josh. The two then head to Sergeant Don's office and begin searching. Kira checks the sergeant's laptop and discovers many emails sent to Sarah, revealing that Eric had arranged Sarah's job in America, deliberately drawing her to the consulate office for his own purposes. Further digging reveals that Eric was also an ex-soldier, stationed in Afghanistan during the war. Sarah remembers the video the journalist sent her earlier and watches it again, recognizing Eric in it. Just then, Sergeant Don arrives. Sarah fights him off, and the two women escape through an emergency exit door leading to the roof. On the roof, Sarah watches the rest of the video. She sees Eric meeting with a Taliban man, someone who was in their unit but was killed during the war. Everything becomes clear now. Eric is a traitor who betrayed their team by leaking their location to the Taliban, resulting in the deaths of everyone except Sarah. Filled with determination, Sarah tells Kira she will distract the guards while Kira tries to escape by getting inside a truck. Sarah gets into a van and starts it. Guards chase her, firing shots. But she manages to evade them. Sarah escapes and reaches the poolside, where Eric confronts her. A fierce fight breaks out between them, both landing heavy blows. Sergeant Don has already informed Eric that Sarah knows the truth. Eric attacks fiercely, hoping to kill Sarah. But Sarah fights back with all her strength, pointing a gun at Eric. He tells her she cannot kill him because he alone knows where Josh is. If he dies, Josh will never be found. Sarah wounds Eric and runs away, promising to find Josh herself. Sarah is pursued by many guards, whom she fights off while searching the consulate buildings. She finally reaches a basement filled with chemicals. Using an empty bottle, she mixes chemicals to create a bomb. Throwing it into another consulate building, she causes a huge explosion, setting off fire and chaos. The general consulate learns about Sarah's actions and orders Eric to follow official protocols. As panic spreads and people flee the buildings, Sarah finds Eric's daughter, Ellen, and gives her the toy she had forgotten in the cafeteria earlier. Sarah tells Ellen that her father sent her and asks her to stay safe. She then takes Ellen to a secure safe room, the safest place in the consulate, which can only be opened from inside. When Eric, the general consulate, and security guard arrive outside, Sarah tells Eric she will not hand over Ellen until he returns Josh. She demands Eric confess his crimes, but he denies everything in front of the general consulate. To force Eric's hand, Sarah cuts off the oxygen supply in the room and pretends to play with Ellen to scare Eric. Time passes, and Ellen's condition worsens due to the lack of oxygen. Eric tries to manipulate Sarah emotionally, claiming he knows she is not a killer and won't harm Ellen. Sarah then releases Ellen and insists on talking to Eric alone. Eric enters the safe room, locking the door behind him, and attacks Sarah. Sarah demands to know why Eric betrayed everyone, why he never killed her earlier in an accident, and why he caused the deaths of her team, including her husband. Eric replies bitterly that the army gave him nothing but a poor salary and a life of constant moving. He admits to selling small pieces of information to the Taliban, unaware it would cause such massive loss of life. He says Sarah is the only witness who can identify him and is therefore a threat that must be eliminated. He never expected her to escape the visitor area and ruin his plan. As the fight ends, Eric shoots Sarah and then shoots himself in the leg to make it appear that Sarah attacked him first, and he acted in self-defense. Eric leaves the safe room, and the general consulate orders all guards to kill Sarah. The guards prepare to attack, but before the door opens, Sarah plays a recording of Eric's conversation on a speaker. She had recorded everything with Ellen's forgotten recorder. Hearing this, everyone, including the general consulate, realizes Eric's true nature as a traitor. Eric and Sergeant Don are arrested, and Sarah is taken to the hospital. The general consulate asks Eric about Josh's whereabouts. When Sarah wakes up, Josh is by her side.
Fine.
And the general consulate apologizes to her. Later, Sarah is shown at home, packing to leave for America. She receives a call from Irina, who says she is now safe with her mother and plans to meet Sarah soon.
Okay, Klaus? Yeah.
As Sarah leaves the house and meets her mother, they get into a car. A helicopter flies overhead, but this time Sarah does not panic. She looks at Josh and smiles, saying, "It's just a helicopter." Both mother and son get into the car, heading to the airport. The movie ends with this hopeful scene.